Hi. Hi, Facebook friends and family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How you all doing? So welcome to our segment, She's Tired. I'm checking to make sure that, because we're streaming on YouTube. Where else we streaming on?
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
So it's not, your live isn't showing up on my page.
Okay, because it takes a little while to come on.
Okay.
It's kind of like probably
Okay.
a few minutes, yeah. And then when it shows up, then you share it.
Okay. I'm ready.
Yeah. So let me know when you're seeing it, right? Let me make sure that everybody is seeing it, because the last time I went on a live and it was hidden for some reason. I don't know why. Like Facebook hid it. Let me check the.
Yeah, they do stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah. Hi, somebody's watching. Are you here? Are you seeing us? Are you hearing us? Let me make sure. Let me go here. Let me know if you're seeing it. If you're seeing it as yet.
No, I don't see it yet.
Are you all seeing us? I think they are. People are seeing us. So maybe check again and see.
Okay.
And you should be. I think you should be seeing this.
Okay, I'll see your live.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. If you are seeing us, drop where you're looking at, where you're watching us from in the comments, so we make sure that you are seeing us, right? If you are seeing us, drop where you're looking at, where am I from in the comments. Oh, you have your phone kind of loud because I'm hearing myself.
I'll turn it off.
Yeah, or you can just lower the volume down. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Mayuki said she's seeing us. Okay. Awesome.
Good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live segment, and we have a really interesting topic tonight. And I have my wonderful business partner, friend, coach, book coach, author of so many books. And we'll share a little bit about that later on. Apostle Dr. Michelle. We are going to be talking about She's Tired, right? Confessions of a high functioning overachiever. And this is going to be like conversational, right? So if you have questions, you can drop it in the comments. But we do have some questions that we are going to be answering tonight, and we'll try our best. To answer all of them as we go along. All right, so take it over, Apostle Dr. Michelle. What
Well, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. I greet you in the name of Jesus. I am excited and honored to be here today to speak with this wonderful woman of God who is a trauma coach, an author, a businesswoman, a survivor, an overachiever, high functioning overachiever, all the things. And God brought us together in this season and time. We've known each other kind of casually since about 2020, I think.
Yeah.
Platform. So been in each other's circles for a long time. I support her on the low key and she supports me. I comment on her posts and she comments on mine. But I have always admired her because she is so very open about her life and what she has done with her life, how she has overcome and how she feels about things. So I think we are in for a treat today as I get the opportunity to ask her some questions that are just really going to start a dialogue between the two of us. And as she said, if you have some questions and you want to ask or you want to comment on anything that we talk about, if it resonates with you, by all means, put your thoughts in the chat, because we want to start exposing this whole thing that we have where it's okay to be an achiever. It's okay to want the best of things. But when is achieving too much, and when is it detrimental to your life and your well-being, and why is it always something else for us to do? So with that, Dr. Phillips, I want to ask you the first question. Where does the need to always be the one who handles everything come from? Why do we feel like we have to be the general managers of the universe, the saviors of all, and oftentimes to our own detriment, and definitely not always in our own interest, in our own best interest?
Right. So thank you so much, Apostle Dr. Michelle, for that wonderful introduction. And yes, overachievers, high functioning overachievers. So where does the need for that come from? Often it starts in our childhood, right? I can talk about myself, and I'll be sharing like my lived experiences, and also some of the experiences of some of the women that I have coached and counseled in the past, and there are some similarities. And I think even for us, Dr. Michelle, that we can relate in that in that area as well, right? So for me, I grew up too fast. My mom passed away when I was 10. I was the eldest girl at home. So I became responsible before I was even ready. I was around a lot of instabilities, right? I've learned that adults, being around adults was not, how to say it, it was hard to depend on other people, right? A lot of times, like in our childhood, I talk a lot about attachment styles, and we all develop different attachment styles. There are 4 different types: the avoidant, the anxious, then there's the secure, and then also there's a mix between the two, which is like fearful, dismissive avoidance. So we develop those trauma responses in order for us to function or to survive, right? So for me, it was more of the avoidant. So because the adults around me was not consistent, they were not dependable, I developed that responsibility. I took on that responsibility in my and this happens subconsciously. We don't just decide to do this, right? Like as children, we look at our surrounding, we look at the experiences that we go through or other people go through, our adults, caregivers, and we decide, because we don't have the capacity to think logically. Our prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. So we make everything personal. So I didn't understand that my father, he did the best that he could the way he knew how to do it, right? Even though it was harmful, but he parented me and my siblings the way probably he was parented, right? So I saw that I had to be responsible because I had 5 younger siblings, and the responsibility was on me. And in the counseling world, we call that parentified. So I was parentified, right? So I became the helper, I became the fixer, I became the mature one, right? The one who would also even keep the peace, because I didn't want to, bring up anything, because it wasn't a safe space. So over time, I internalized all of that, and it's like if I don't handle it, it may not get handled, and that was, like we call that now hyper independence, right? Later in life,
Yes.
that is like a learned protection strategy. So for me, seeing people around me who was not consistent and not dependable, in my mind as a child, I took that upon myself, and I give myself the story: people are not reliable. And what happens, right? There's something called self-fulfilling prophecies. So you take that into your adult life, and guess what? You attract people that reinforce that belief. Because remember, our brain don't know what is right or what is wrong, what is true, what is not true, what is real or what is not real. So if I took on the narrative that people are not dependable, guess what? I am going to attract people into my experience who are just going to reinforce those behaviors, because our brain loves what is familiar, what is predictable. It doesn't care whether that coping strategy is real or not real. But because that is familiar and that is the blueprint in my nervous system as a child, that is what happened. So that is really what I could say based on my own lived experiences and the experience of some other women, and of course my research on that. So
Yes, and several things that you said right there resonate with me in my story. I was the younger child, so I observed how my older siblings navigated through life,
right,
and I saw them not have things that they needed to go, for school and things like that. So by the time it was my turn to need things, I began to automatically try to figure out how to get it for myself, how to achieve
right.
on my own, how not to need anyone, how not to be rejected and have someone tell me no. So so with that, I began a long journey of me, myself, and I getting what I need and not really asking for help or any of that, but just figuring out what all do I need to do in order to be successful and going after those things blindly and not letting anything get me off track. So very pertinent things that you've said there. So thank you for being so honest in sharing those things with
Right.
us.
And you
So
see how, just going back, picking back on what you said, and you see how even though we had different experiences, it creates similar like
mhm,
outcomes, right? With the overachieving and the high functioning, right?
mhm,
Just being that strong person,
mhm.
and just going and going and just doing. It's like, when is enough, right? And a lot, and I know a lot of women, they say things like, um, it's difficult for them to delegate. It's
Yes,
difficult for them to, trust someone, to be strong for them, because of course they were disappointed, right? So that's the thing. It's like, when would it stop? Like, how can these women even begin the process of healing to the point where, okay, they can trust again, they can trust someone to be strong for them? But I think it's not so much of trusting someone to be strong for you, right? Because like I said, we attract these experiences into our lives, and that's where healing takes place, and we'll talk about it later on. So
yes, definitely. I know one of the things before we go to the next question is I used to have a hard time asking for help, and when other people would step up to help me, uh, even without me asking for it, it made me very uncomfortable. And they were coming into my circle to a distance that I was not comfortable with them coming. Bring, something simple like carrying my bag or, just doing things for me. I didn't want it. I, I
right.
got this. I got this. I can handle it on my own. So the next question, what does constantly being the strong one or over functioning actually cost a woman emotionally and physically?
Well, there's a, there's a real cost, right? And like I mentioned earlier, one of that costs was trying to keep the peace, and that's by suppressing your emotions.
Hmm.
Lord have mercy. Listen, suppressing your emotions to keep the peace, or you keep pushing when you know you're tired, right? You keep saying yes when you know you need to say no. And the thing is, for me, that those two things, right? Suppressing my emotions, and also because it's like I feel as though there was no um room to fall apart, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, everybody depend on me. I can't. I have to do this, right? It's, and you know what? I remember when I was dating someone in the past, and this person was there, was supportive, was all of that to me. But the identity of the strong one that I took on made me afraid to be vulnerable, to just be vulnerable, right? Because sometimes we think vulnerability is weakness, you know, and because in my mind it was like, oh, if I show vulnerability, would this person still want to date me, right? Because to me, I believe that he took on, like, he was drawn to me because of my strength, whatever
Right.
whatever that looked like, right? He was drawn to me because I was strong, right? And because of that, I was like, okay, he was drawn to that identity. So then in the relationship, if I show up as this vulnerable person, what would he think? Or what would he say? Like, you know, so I know it sounds kind of crazy, but
I get it.
trying to take on that personality, because trauma creates personalities, it creates personas, right? And it's like, that is not really at the core of who God created me to be. That's not the core of who God created any woman to be, right? To be over functioning and just going like the Energizer battery bunny,
Yeah.
right? You keep pushing, and when you keep pushing, you keep saying yes when you know you need to say yes, your body is going to go into exhaustion. That's why some of you are easily irritable, right? You get irritated. That's signs of burnt out and stress. You are exhausted. No matter how much you sleep, physical sleep, you still tend to. I'm hearing myself echoing. I wonder if, are you hearing me okay? I'm looking at the thing here.
I can hear you over here on my side.
Oh, okay. Because I'm think like I'm hearing myself echoing. Are you guys hearing me okay in the comments? Let me know if you hear me echoing, if you're hearing okay. Yes. So it's like eventually it can take a toll on you emotionally. It can take a toll on you physically. Emotionally, you're gonna start to be irritable. You're gonna start to be anxious, right? You're gonna experience anxiety, emotional numbness. You're gonna have resentment towards other people or towards yourself, right? Physically, you can, like I said, have difficulties resting. No matter how much or even if you sleep, you still get up tired and exhausted. All of that is emotional and physical toll on your body from trying to be the strong one and carrying everything alone. You are also going to feel so disconnected from yourself. Your body is going to tell you, we cannot go on like this. We can't keep doing this, but we ignore our bodies, right? And sometimes we start to feel it, like in different areas of our body, right? The tension in the chest, in your womb area. Like I remember having a client, and this is so real. I have a client who had difficulties with getting pregnant, right? Years after she got married, and she couldn't conceive because and listen, I'm not a medical doctor or anything like that. I just simply help her to feel safe in her body, help her to stop being the strong one, stop
Mm-hmm.
carrying everything alone, stop doing all of that, to say yes when you know you want to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And about a year later, she was able to conceive. And
Mm-hmm.
that child, she have like that child today is like probably almost 3 years old, right? But that's it, because our bodies are it's so smart, it's so wise. It is not going to carry a child. That's a lot of stress on the body.
Yeah.
So your body is not going to add more stress, because the job of the brain is to keep us safe. If your brain is saying, signaling unsafe, 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 I can't. If you take on more stress, it can cause damage to you. It's not gonna happen. You have to take care of your body. Trying to be the strong one, trying to carry everything alone, trying to rush to the next thing, overachieving to prove what? Your body is going to feel it, and your emotional and mental health is going to take an effect also.
So it sounds like you're going to have physical problems, you're going to have health issues, you're going to have emotional reactions. I know there was a time in my life where I experienced anger, like fly off the wheel anger over the smallest of things. And it was because of all of the things that I was carrying. And
Yes.
it can impact the relationships that you value, and those relationships that you really want to keep and protect in your life. If you don't get this under control, it can affect the things that mean the most to you. It sounds like is what you're saying also.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the questions I think we talked about with being that strong person, right? Being taking on that hyper independent persona, high functioning. It affects your relationships, whether you're married or whether you're dating. It doesn't only, right? So I mean, it affects your relationships on the whole. But let's talk about like even the dating and the marriage relationship, right? Because that person, that woman may genuinely want partnership, but simultaneously is struggling to receive that partnership, right?
Mhm.
And for my single woman, listen, being the strong one, you are going to attract passive men. I'm
Mm.
just I'm just telling you like it is. If you're so strong, because there's polarity, right? And I don't want to go into that too much, right?
Mhm.
Being the strong one, if you are going to attract men who are going to be passive. Because if you are in your masculine, you're hyper independent, you are going to attract a man who's opposite. And then you're going to get frustrated when he's not doing what he's supposed to do. Well, right?
Yeah.
So if you want someone dependable, but you still feel safer doing everything yourself, that's going to cause a problem, especially for a masculine man. A masculine man wants to lead, he wants to guide, he wants to help, he wants to support. And you were saying something earlier, Dr. Michelle, about, like even if somebody offers to help with your bag, right, to carry your bag, it used to make you feel awkward. That was me. That was me too.
Mhm.
It's like asking for help was so awkward. It was weird because that is in your that's when that's a sign that we are still operating in the masculine energy, because the feminine by nature is receptive. It receives. And if receiving something makes you feel uncomfortable, makes you feel weird and awkward, that is feedback to
Mhm.
ask God, why am I feeling this way? Because you created the feminine to receive, the masculine gives, right? So if it is that I am feeling awkward with receiving, then what is happening and why? And this is a question I asked God. I remember He woke me up 4 o'clock in the morning to show me exactly why. And it happened when I was like around 9 years old. 9 years old, I forgot about that. Like I didn't even, to me, that wasn't even something that was registered like consciously. I
Mhm.
didn't know is I had to look at the patterns in my life and become aware and curious about what was happening and ask God, Lord, why is this happening? Why is this I feel awkward asking for help? Why is this I feel uncomfortable when someone gives me a compliment? I have to give them back one too. Why I don't feel comfortable receiving? Why I struggle with vulnerability, right? And these are the things that are questions I started to ask God, and not being critical of yourself, but being curious. And then God started showing me all these things, right? So going back to the question, right? So that woman may struggle with vulnerability, asking for what she needs, right, in that relationship, or even letting another person support her without like taking control back, right? Because we tend to attract fixer uppers. I like to call them fixer uppers,
Mhm.
single women, right? When we are operating in that hyper independent, strong kind of functioning, we tend to attract fixer uppers, somebody who always is fixing, they always need saving.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then complain, why, what is this? The dating pool is full of pee and all. No, we are attracting those experiences back into our lives. That is why we have to heal, right? So sometimes you can unknowingly create a relationship where you overfunction, then you overfunction in the relationship too. and the other person is under functioning, and then you become resentful because you carry everything. And in the, listen, I'm telling you my life, okay? Because it's like, why are you over functioning, over playing a role in a relationship? What are you married to? Because married people do it too, and then you're frustrated, right? That okay, why am I over that? So I'm single, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Michelle, you are married.
Yes.
So we can talk about our experiences, right? But I was married before. But the thing is that is like even even in these relationships, we can see patterns there, right?
Yep.
We can ask ourselves, okay, why is my spouse or partner, I ask him to do this 10,000 times, he's not doing it. Why? Right? Maybe sometimes we created a situation where we was running the show, we were doing everything in control, and now we get so tired because we are not meant to carry that. And now because we are so tired of what's happening, it's like, okay, we try to change them, but that's who they are.
Yes. A lot of times we marry them or date them with the expectation that we're going to shape them into who we want them to be, when that's not our place. And we get frustrated when they can't be the thing that we want them to be. So I feel like that's part of it, in that you get to a point where you feel like you're so, on one hand, you feel so capable. I can take care of myself. I don't need anybody. I'm just going to take this person over here and I'm going to help them to just be my sidekick. And then as life goes on and responsibilities get deeper and you need more than a sidekick, you need a partner who is going to stand and who God has called them to be and walk alongside you, and each of you complementing each other and doing your part. And that includes you being able to be open about who you are and how you feel. And it also requires self-reflection, so that you can say, I act this way because, like what you said, you have to go back and examine the patterns of your life and understand why you act like you act, why you are attracted to who you are attracted to. And then why once you attract the person that you wanted to attract, do you push them away?
Right. So, self-sabotage.
Yes, you self-sabotage.
Why?
So we've really answered a couple questions. So I want to talk a little bit about how it feels to be functioning outwardly. Everyone sees you. You're polished, your hair's done, your nails done, your lipstick's done. You're getting up, you're doing your Facebook lives, you're getting your doctor's degrees, you're starting your businesses. Life is good. And everyone sees you smiling. They see your strength and they see how well you function. But nobody sees how tired you really are. Let's talk about that.
That's and oh Jesus, and that is again going back to the personas, right? You know what happens when everyone sees the smile, they see the strength, the strong one. What happens and how well you function, but nobody sees how tired you really are. You're tired. I got sick and tired of that. I got sick and tired of wearing the mask of competence. Sick and tired of that. It's like, again, this is God didn't created me to be that way. And then we live in a society, a lot of times we are afraid to be vulnerable and to really say how we feel, because we live in a society where it's like wearing your exhaustion is a badge of honor, right? It's like they honor you working your tail off. They will honor that. That's society. That's the culture we live in, right? So, and this is where, it, like for me, like loneliness become a real thing in the past, because I got to a place in my life where I got sick and tired of being sick and tired of being exhausted all the time and trying to carry on this facade and trying to be this thing that I created for myself because of traumas, past traumas, and then took it into my adult life, and it affects every area of your life. right? People assume that you are okay. This is a painful one. People assume that you are okay, and they may stop checking on you because you always seem to have it handled. Oh my God. If you know how I used to feel so disgusted by that, but at the same time, I don't. At the same time, it's like you want people to check up on you and to really check up on you, but then at the same time, it's like you don't want to show that vulnerability
That's
because
right.
you don't want them to think that you're weak, because we think vulnerability equals weakness, right? So sometimes we unintentionally reinforce that situation by continuing to say, I'm fine, I'm okay, and we perform it so well. So you can be surrounded by people and still feel emotionally alone. And that's something that I experienced for years. Why does nobody notice me? Why does this and why is this? But at the same time, again, I didn't want the people to see my vulnerability, because I think that means I'm weak. So I didn't want them to see that, right? So we carry it so well that people don't even ask how you
And then
doing.
and then when they ask, your response trains them not to call back, not to ask, not to check on you. And then it creates this cycle where you're upset because nobody's checking on you. And then when they check on you, you're pushing them away. So
Mm-hmm.
it never ends until you decide to fix it and be
Yeah,
vulnerable with the select people, because we both know that you cannot be vulnerable with everybody, right?
right,
Everybody doesn't get to be in your inner circle to understand the things that you're
right.
going through and how you're doing. Some people do just get the I'm fine because that's all they need, and really that's all they can handle.
Yeah,
Everybody can handle everything that's going on with you. So that's really good what you said, and it makes me think about what happens when you want someone to be strong for you, but you struggle to trust anyone enough to let them in. And you've already spoken a little bit about that, but can you add to that how that has impacted your story along your life through your relationships? How, because you've not trusted them and they've called and to the point where they just stop calling. How do you deal with that?
and that's a real internal conflict. That's a real, and like even talking about it gives me anxiety. Even now, I'm being real and honest, right? Even talking about that question gives me some type of anxiety, because
Mhm.
I don't like people to think, like I'm still going through my healing process. I'm not perfect. I am still dealing with these things. I always say we heal in layers. And there are some things like when all your life you had to depend on yourself. All your life you experience inconsistency in people who say things but don't follow through with their words. Like for me, I have a problem with trusting what people say. You know how we talk about the love languages? For
Mhm.
me, acts of service, right? So for me, action speaks louder. So if someone says this, I need to see your action. I didn't hear what you say. I want to see your action, right? Because again, it's like part of you want to exhale, you want someone to say I got this, you want someone, but then at the same time part of you is watching, you're watching everything, you're so like I am I analyze everything, checking everything, preparing for disappointment, because it's a pattern, right? You've seen it over and over and over again, not only in the relationship with your caregivers and your parents, but with romantic relationships, and also relationships with friends and stuff like that, right? So even when someone is willing to support you, you may struggle to fully receive it, right? Sometimes you test people, and I always say test, right? Just like what the Bible said, test the spirit, right? You test people, but then you take the responsibility back, or you decided that it's easier to do it yourself, right? And
Mhm.
this is where healing is not blindly trusting everybody. You don't
That's
want to do
right.
that, right? It's learning discernment. It's allowing safe people, giving safe people the opportunity to actually show up in your life. right? So how do you even know what it like who is safe? You have to test it. That's just what it is, right? Don't just pour out your whole heart and soul into people. Let people earn your trust. And in the beginning, for me, that was hard because I was so, it's like, when you deal with trauma and somebody listens or they hear it, like, no, you just vomit everything, trauma dump. No, people need to earn your trust, right? So when they come into your life, let them earn, let them show you that they are to be trusted. Don't just give them the responsibility of your heart. Don't do that, right? Because that is going to create a lot of disappointment. And that's how you start, little at a time, step by step. Take your time and let safe people in. What do you have to say? That's what I did for myself, and it's doing even in relationships. Because if you show me that you can't be strong for me when I am vulnerable, then guess what? I shut down. You would not, and it may seem extreme, but I will never want to share nothing with you again.
That's right.
I'm going to share something with you if you showed me that you can't hold my vulnerability. That's what I, as a counselor and as a coach, when clients come to me, they come to me for me to hold space for them, right? To guide them, to be that emotional support for them. Imagine I'm breaking down too with them. It's like, what is this, right? I'm not saying you can't emotions, right? But
Yeah, you.
Right. So in relationships, and I don't know, maybe something God is working on me with or I have to heal. But if you show me that I can't be vulnerable with you, that's it. Like
So
I'm cutting off immediately. I don't want to tell you again.
your
So
advice to the people listening then, you said don't trauma dump. I think that's what you said.
yeah,
And so that means as you enter into these relationships with people and you're trying to decide where to place them in your life, you have to breadcrumb them to that place of trust. Little by little, share something insignificant, share something a little bit more important, and just keep seeing how they respond. But also you want to watch their character as they interact with you and how they interact with other people, if they talk to you about other people, people who shared confidences with them and they're sharing those confidences with you, that also tells you something about they can't hold space for you because you can't trust them with confidential information. So you have to be very discerning when it comes
that's
to
right.
letting people into your space. How?
I think. Sorry, not to cut you off because I think that's a really big.
Sure, go ahead.
That is big. I don't know if anybody in the comments want to
Look
have
in
a
the
question on
schedule.
that because I think that's a big issue. I think that's a serious thing where as a strong, independent woman who is tired of carrying it alone, right? You're tired. That's the topic tonight. You're tired, right, of high functioning. Like how it's and they don't want to. That's the thing. It's like I hear men, like especially like single, like for my single woman, right? I heard men say things, oh, you want to be a strong, independent woman. Oh, you want to be this, you want to be that. But then when she gives you the opportunity to be the man, well, you know, like create that sacred space for her, that safe space for her,
You blow
it's
it.
like she's disappointed again because now instead of holding her emotions, you start to be emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, right, she's telling you about her emotions, but then now you are being all emotional, right? And everything is now reflected on her because a lot of women are dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they said they don't want to be the strong person to carry everything, but it's difficult to find people who they can trust to be strong for them.
And one thing that comes to my mind when you were talking about how the male might respond to the show of vulnerability, and it depends on what the conversation is as well. in a relationship where someone may finally get up the nerve to talk to you about something that has been bothering them, and it pertains to you, the interactions between the two people. And when they share, as the man, you get angry and defensive and sometimes insulting. And that person took a big step in coming out and saying, hey, this is bothering me. And you didn't respond correctly. And so they're going to shut down, and they're just not going to be bothered anymore. They're going to continue to go it alone because you confirmed for them that they can't trust you. And so they might as well just continue doing what they were already doing. But that's a space where, because that's also the wrong answer for the female. That person, I mean, maybe you've chosen wrong, and wherever you are, if you're dating, maybe you need to reconsider that. But you don't need to say, I'm not going to continue to try to be open and vulnerable. You just got to find the right people that you can be vulnerable with, because your healing is the most important thing that you need to do.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So listen,
that's a big one. Yes.
No questions in the chat? No questions in the chat? Okay. This one here, I'm very interested in hearing your response. How do you know when being capable? And I need the answer to this question, doctor. I need you to answer this question for me. How do you know when being capable has crossed over into overfunctioning? Please tell us. Please tell us.
Put that question on there. How do you know? Right. I was going to put the question up. Right. So how do you know when being capable has crossed over into high or overfunctioning? Capability says, I can do this. If you're capable, you can do it. Overfunctioning says, I have to do this, even when I know I should not be the one doing it. Capability says, I can. Overfunctioning says, I have to. So it's always the motive behind what we do. I have to do this even when I should not be doing it. I'm saying yes, even when I know everything in me is saying no. So, and this is where now you may notice that you are constantly doing for other adults, or even not even other adults, like, like how we just overfunction because we just feel like we could just do it. Why, right? What they are capable of doing for themselves. So we start rescuing people from their consequences. We start taking responsibility for people solving problems that nobody asks you to solve. That was me. So you said you too, me too. I put right.
Yes.
Putting yourself in people's business, solving problems that you're not supposed to, like you're not supposed to solve. Because you know why? You want to help.
You want to help them to be healed.
You want to help. You want to fix.
To right? Your death.
So that's one of the things. Capability says not because you can do it means you should, right? I can do this, yes. But then when we start to like I was sharing sometime earlier last week about, we don't even we pray for we pray for something and God answer that prayer. Let's say you have a goal and the goal is to write that book, right? Let's make it relatable. You wrote the book, and then before we can soak in the success of this book and all, you on to the next.
That's me.
You on to the next thing. I know, me too. Right? You're right. So you have to ask yourself,
I gotta write a book a month.
What's that?
I gotta write a book a month. I have to catch up on all the times that I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Who said that?
So you have to ask yourself why. Like, what is driving? What is the motivation? What is the force behind that overachieving, right? What is the force? What am I trying to prove? right? So it's not really whether, and then also it's not really whether you're capable of doing it, it's whether it's actually yours to carry. Why do I think that I have to write a book a month? Why do I think that I have to do this and then move on to the next and then move on to the next and the next and the next? Why? So we always have to, I always tell my clients, go 5 deep, answer the question why 5 times, go 5 levels deep, because sometimes the surface answer, the first answer that comes out is not the real answer. You got to go deep. Why do I think I have to do this? Answer the question, answer, and then ask yourself why. Why? Right? And you are going to come up with that answer. Even if you think I off your head, I don't know. Go deep, take time to question your behavior. One of the things that helped me so much with this over functioning thing, and I meant is paying attention to my behavior, questioning my behavior, questioning the motive behind my behavior. And I was able to do that because I've healed the inner critic in me that would shut down those questions, because you can't heal when you're not compassionate with yourself. You're not going to heal and you're not going to get the answers if you're not compassionate. You have to be compassionate with yourself. You have to get curious, not critical. You can't be judgmental of yourself. So you have to ask yourself, why it is I'm doing that? God, why it is I think that going to school and working 80 hours a week and doing a doctoral degree, and then when I was done, got sick for 2 weeks. Like, why? Why? It's not the degree per se, because I could go do the degree. But the thing is, what I was doing, working 2 jobs, 80 hours a week while doing full-time doctoral degree. And you know what? People praise you for that. And guess what? Oh, I was so validated because my inner child felt so good. Because guess what? I needed those, compliments and that validation. So when I got it, I realized I had to perform to get it. I realized when I overdo things and I overfunction, I get validated from people. So guess what? It pushes you to do more. But when do you stop?
When does it stop?
Society will push you to hurt yourself. They don't care, right?
That's
so
right.
I had to ask myself, when do you stop, girl? What do you want? You want validation? Then give it to yourself, right? Whatever you want for yourself, that is your inner child that is craving for the needs that wasn't met, the emotional needs in your childhood. So guess what? As an adult, I learned to reparent myself. Reparenting myself means giving my inner child the things that she needed when she was a child that she didn't get. I can give it to her now, because now when I see the behavior, because I'm aware, but awareness is not enough, right? So when I see the behavior to overfunction, I was like, oh, my inner child needs some validation here. And based on the behavior, I know, is this the adult, logical, fully developed prefrontal cortex Marlene speaking? Is this the adult? Because I have nesting dolls, right? Is this the adult, logical Marlene speaking? Or is it her inner child, the inner child, right? The inner child that wants love and validation? Who is it? Who is it? And this is how you know, is it the little girl or is it the adult? Our response will always show us, if we are aware, who's acting here? Who's acting? Why do I feel I need to do? Is this logical thinking and behavior? Or is this little girl who wants to prove that she is worthy? Who need that validation? Who need that love and that attention? Right? that she didn't get. So now she's an adult and she's seeking for it by doing things and want other people to give her that. No, give it to yourself. So going back to the question, how do you know? Capability says I can. Overfunctioning says I have to do this because I have to prove something, right? So there you go.
So for me, doctor, my trigger is security. And I had something to happen earlier in the week, and it caused my inner child to go into a panic because they did not feel safe. They felt like I'm going to lose something. I'm not going to have the things that I need. And it affected my whole persona, my stomach, my heart. I was sick. I was tired. I couldn't sleep. And I didn't really take the time to think about what was happening. And when you spoke right there, that validated it for me. But the thing that really helped me was I had to preach today on hope. And God used that message to help reparent my inner child so that she knows that she's safe, because her security is in Christ and not from anything that happens in the world and nothing that any one person might do. And so now I'm back to being okay. And I think the point there is we can make a mistake if we get to that point where we don't acknowledge that we have to constantly work on, like you said, we have layers of healing. And obviously I have a security healing need that I have to continuously work on because of things that happened in my childhood that made me feel like I had to perform in such a way to take care of myself and keep myself safe. So it can go beyond just relationships into other areas of your life and cause you. So how that would, if God didn't fix it today, and if I wasn't available for God to fix it today, tomorrow I would be coming up with some new scheme to create more security around myself. That might be a new project, some new world to build around myself. And you end up with all of these things that you're doing, and it's tiring to try to keep up with all those things. So very powerful. Someone put something in the comments earlier when we was talking about relationships. They said, not only that, sometimes when we do get that person, it's difficult to let go, to not be so independent. It's hard when you find that good person who is worthy of your trust. You have to work to be vulnerable. You have to work to not be you have to release the masculinity, right? You have to walk in your femininity and let the man be the man when he's there and able and capable to do those things.
Right. And that's true, Marvis. So it's going back to what I was sharing earlier. You may want someone dependable. You may have someone dependable, right? But again, they have to prove themselves to you. And if they have, then you also don't be critical on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. This is a pattern, right? Think about a tree. Like in Trinidad, we say, nip it at the bud, right? It's easy to pull out the roots, to pull a young tree out, but to cut down a tree that has been rooted and planted there for years is harder. So most of us who grow up in environments where it affects us today, and we have this persona of this hyper independent, high functioning woman, that's years of programming, right? To program, like that's a nervous system blueprint. That is why it's hard. It's an identity, right? And because we form this identity, it's hard. So that's why it's like you can't just get over that. Get over that. Like what they said, just whatever. It's not that easy because your brain, the job of the brain is to keep you safe. And if it is being independent and depending on yourself, because you know you are reliable and you are dependable and you are going to make it happen to bring someone in, that's even if they're showing you certain things that they are dependable, it's not going to happen overnight. So you have to take your time, and they have to prove themselves over and over again to you, right? And that's okay. But you have to create a new identity around that, right? The healed version of you, and that takes time to do that, because that has been there for years. That's a hard tree with roots, right? So it's not going to you can't just pluck that up. You need an excavator, you need whatever to just to uproot that whole thing in order to actually build and again, plant and build again. So
you don't always need to do it alone.
You can
may need therapy and counseling and coaching to help you to walk through it and get to where you need to be.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because we heal in communities. A lot of times we do it by ourselves. It's good, that's fine. But think about the more, like, I studied neuroscience and I understand how we learn through repetition, right? When we experience these things as children, the reason why it's so ingrained and embedded in us, because we have been in it's what I call complex trauma, prolonged trauma. You've been in the experience for so long, over a period of time, it became your identity, right? You took on the identity of that thing because of the experiences or because of what you keep hearing over and over and over again, like a child who constantly hear, I'm stupid, I'm not good, I'm no good, I'm not enough. You're going to grow up because you took on that identity, because it creates new neural pathways in your brain. So your brain, it rewires your whole mindset, right? But as you get older now, you have to rewire your brain. And sometimes you have to do that with someone, with a coach, with a counselor, right? Someone who get in communities where you are hearing these things over and over again. That's why the Bible says what? Meditate on this word day and night. Day and night. So you have to hear it over and over again. That is repetition. That is neuroscience, right? That is creating a new neural pathways in your brain when you keep hearing, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough. But not just saying it. You have to hear it, and then you have to embody that new identity. So when you start to embody that, then your standards get higher. You start to look in the mirror. You start to see yourself as beautiful. You know, I used to say, I look in the mirror, like I used to look in the mirror when I was younger, and I could not see anything that I liked, anything. But now I can say, you know what? I am beautiful and fearfully and wonderfully made in the image and likeness of God. I didn't say that because I was totally stupid and this and that and all these things, and it affected my confidence, my self-image. You know, so yes, wanting someone to be dependable for you, it's going to take some time, right? But you need the support of other people who can help you get there as well.
What comes to mind in regards to what you said about education being repetitive? The other scripture, faith comes by hearing, and hearing and hearing. It's faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. But it implies a repetitive state. So when you're affirming what God says about you and who you are, what your true identity is, the first time you say it, your brain isn't going to believe you, and you just have to continue to press and get you some help. I don't think anybody should try to do it alone when you've been dealing with who you are, the identity you've created since you were a toddler. You've been building towards this, and now you're deciding today that you want to be something different, and you're going to try to be that on your own. Don't do that to yourself, because what comes when you fail is you'll go back into the I am that person that I thought I was because I failed, when really all you needed was somebody to come alongside you and help you to walk it out. So I have one more question, and then I want you to share some things about any projects that you're working on. Final question. Why can healing feel uncomfortable when the very behaviors exhausting you are also the behaviors you believe help you survive and succeed?
So, and this is another great question, right? Why can healing feel uncomfortable? Because, listen, again, subconsciously, I didn't realize that a lot of women who are high functioning resist healing. They're going to tell you, they're going to say off the top of their head, no, I don't. But let me explain to you why healing can feel uncomfortable or even as a threat. Because for those who have, like, for us, I'm including myself, right? Because we in that category, right? Well, the behavior, right?
Right.
Those behaviors have worked.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to dismiss it. I always say, nothing you've been through in life is ever wasted.
Mm-hmm.
God will not waste none one of that. One of my favorite scripture, Romans 8:28, for all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. All means all, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, right? When I look back at my life and I see that strong woman, trauma built that strong woman. And that strong woman, that version of me, took me through my life. It protected me a lot. Yes, God protected me, of course. But those traits, those characteristics helped me to become who I am today, to accomplish the things that I have accomplished today. So don't dismiss your resilience. I'm very resilient, very resilient. Like, I don't give up. I don't have a weak mind. Where did that, right? I don't have a weak brain. Like, I don't give up easily on things, right? I am very optimistic. So the trauma can make you better or bitter. But pain has taught me so much about myself than anything else would have. Pain, because I use the pain for my good.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't use that pain and be a victim. Oh my God, look at me, pretty poor me. No, nope, I didn't do that. So the characteristics that I have developed when I know I want to get something done, like me being a high school dropout from the age of 13 and going back to school at 31. Listen, and then going back to do all of these studies and got my doctoral degree in 8 semesters. That was resilience. That was me after I made up my mind, saying, when someone told me, oh, you can't. When I was younger, they said I can't. And that was the fuel. So I'm telling you, you can either take what somebody said for negative, as God said, what the enemy meant for evil, God can turn it around for your good.
That's right.
It's up to you to take that and make it into something, right? Leverage it. Okay. So for me, the behavior worked. Overworking has helped me build a career to be successful, helped me with whatever I wanted to accomplish, right? Hyper independence kept me from being disappointed, right? Because I was like, hyper independent, I'm not depending on nobody. It kept me from being disappointed. Perfectionism helped me to excel, right? Being hyper vigilant, because I was hyper, I'm not a hyper vigilant again, but hyper vigilant may have helped you or made you prepared, right? Because you want to make sure, everything is, so you're prepared. So when someone says you need to change that, and this is what I'm saying, I'm not saying to you, you need to change that, because a part of you may think, why would I give up the very thing that got me here? Why would I give up these things that got me here? Because what is wrong with resilience, right? What is wrong with perfectionism? What is wrong with hyper independence? What is wrong with it? Like, we have to really think about it. What is wrong with that? The traits itself, nothing is wrong with that, right?
That's right.
But this is why healing is not simply telling somebody who is ambitious or who's high functioning to just stop being that. But it is separating your strengths from the survival patterns that is driving it. That's the thing. What is driving the hyper independence, the perfectionism, the hyper vigilance. Like, what is driving that? That is what it is. That's where the healing comes from. That's what the healing comes in. So it's not about stop these behaviors, right? Because that is what built your career. That's what have you successful, right?
Mhm.
But you need to stop what is driving it, which is survival. You can still be resilient. Absolutely, right? You could turn perfectionism into excellence,
Mhm.
because there's a difference. Perfectionism is rooted in fear of
Mhm.
rejection. No, I have to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect because they're going to reject it. No, you can turn that into excellence. Like, I'm a woman of excellence, and guess what? If Because God is a God of excellence, so it's like, okay, if it doesn't have to be perfect, but I can do it with excellence. That's
That's right.
totally different,
That's
right?
right.
Hypervigilance can turn into discernment.
Mhm. Diligence.
Discernment says, I need to prepare, right? Because I have something coming up. I need to prepare, not always being hyper vigilant over everything you're doing because you're afraid. That's survival patterns. So that's the difference, right? It's not about changing who you are in terms of of those traits, but turning those traits, right, those characteristics for good that can work for you. So you can keep the discipline, the ambition, keep the leadership, the intel, all of that, but the drive, it doesn't have to drive you into exhaustion, into fear, into control. That's the difference, right? Because when we are operating from survival, is you can tell is your because you're doing it because subconsciously you need to prove something. But if you're doing it because you love to do it and you want to do it, then you can rest without guilt. You can take a rest, you can take a break. It's like, what am I trying to catch up to?
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I think I am behind. That's who. Whose
Mhm.
timeline are you on?
Mhm.
The world or God's, right? And
Yeah.
that's the difference. That's why healing can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like a threat when the very behaviors that got you to where you are today, you tell yourself, oh, I have to stop that. No, you don't have to stop that. Because now I have boundaries, right? There are times when I spend more time doing work, and then there are times when I don't do anything. I say I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
There are times when I set goals and said I'm going to, I have this to accomplish, and I want to do this on this date. And then if my body said no, it's no, I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
Right? Before it's like, oh my God, the people. No, I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it because I'm not doing it. Like, I put myself first now. I'm not doing that, right? So you have to set boundaries with yourself.
Yes. Powerful, powerful message that we've heard today. And the good news is that we can be healed. We can walk in healing. We can take everything that we've been through, use the good of it, and help us to shape our current day and our future, correct? Now,
That's
you've been working on something that is going to help women and a few men who are interested to be able to do the very thing that you've been talking about today. Have you not? You have anything you want to share with with our listeners?
absolutely, yes. So everything that I shared here, I'm a strong believer of practicing what you teach, right? Practice what you teach. You live by examples, right? And for some people on here, they know me from since I was in my days in Trinidad. Some people do, some people don't. They know me just from here. And okay, sorry, I'm just trying to fix this here. Yes, Pastor. Oh, Pastor Joanne. Yes. So, oh my God, I was trying to. Somebody was commenting on YouTube.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, yes. Sorry about that, people. So I practice what I teach, and one of the things I've been working on in the last year. Was it the year? Myself and Apostle Dr. Michelle, we have been working on something that was really close to my heart because, like I showed you all, like these nesting dolls, these are some of the things that I work with my clients because people are visual and they want to see, and I really show them the different stages in our lives. I show them this is the adult you. Think about this as the adult you, right? And then all the little you inside, all the little ones that is inside of you, where do you think they go from the time you were born to the time to your age today? Where do you think the baby you is, the teenage you? Where are all of those versions of you? They are all inside of you. And I remember talking to one of my clients, and she was telling me that she finds herself very reactive. And I asked her a question. Who was the, like, between her and her husband? I asked her, who was the one reacting? Who was the one showing up in the communication between you and your husband? And she said, it's the little me. And she knew that because that language, because we had that conversation before. And she said when she thought about it, she said that was not the adult me. That was the little 5-year-old in me who was reacting to what he was saying because she needed that validation and she needed him to hear her in that moment. So she started reacting and being all, like a 5-year-old throwing tantrums, right? We throw tantrums as adults. We don't throw ourselves on the floor, but we shut down.
Mm-hmm.
We have silent treatment. I used to not talk for a whole week. Don't talk to me. Silent treatment. We fight. Or we run away. We freeze. Right? So we do have tantrums as adults. They just don't look like children, right? So one of the things I have been working on, I don't know if you can see it. This is one of the books that I've been working on. It's called Reparent Yourself. It's a 90-day guide to healing your inner child. So I got my proof copies. So I will be sharing more on this, but you all can order it, pre-order, right? You can pre-order it coming soon. And even though it says it's a little girl and it's for women, because I'm dressing this to women, these are some of the things I help, not some, well, some. It's 90 days, but there's this plus other things that have helped me and it's still helping me. What I want to do with this book is walk you all through. This is 90 days. And my book coach, which is Apostle Dr. Michelle, she talks like she's been through this book and she said to me, I'll let her talk about it after, right, guys? So you can pre-order, right? You can pre-order it starting tonight. I'll drop the link so where you can pre-order it. But I want to do something different because this is not just a book to just read. Right. I want to walk you all through this journey. It's 90 days. And I know that's a big commitment, but it's a commitment for you. And the reason why I want to walk with you through this journey is because I know we need each other. We need to support each other. So I don't want to just have you buy the book and then you just go do it on your own, right? We can do it together. So you're going to get the opportunity also to join our community where you can do it together with us, right? It's called Reparent Yourself. The things that you needed in your life as a child that your parents or your caregiver were unable to give to you, you can do it to yourself as an adult, right? So let me see here. I'm going to put the thing on the screen there and you can, right? You can start, you can click on that, scan it or whatever, or even after I'll put it in the link. But day one, let me read a quick let me go over something really good with you. So day one, You seeing it there? Healing the wounds of rejection, right? And I'm explaining to you what rejection is, and it's one of the deepest wounds a person can experience. As children, we look to our caregivers, our family, and friends to affirm our worth. When we experience rejection, whether through words, actions, or neglect, it plants the false belief that we are unworthy, not enough, or unlovable. And this experience can leave lasting feelings of unworthiness, self-doubt, and fear of abandonment. And you're gonna have things where you can, there's scripture reflection. So one of the scriptures for that is, I have chosen you and have not rejected you. And then it says, this is a reminder that you are not overlooked or forgotten by God. But then there's also CBT prompts, journaling, right? So one of them is, well, I'll go through that. I don't want to go too much. Then there's healing practices, and then there's prayer and affirmation. So it's not just a book you just buy, and then you have your reflections, and then the next one, day 2. So I will be walking with you through this, because I don't want you to do this alone. 90 days, 90. I don't want you to do this alone at all. Because I know the commitment. I know, right? When you are doing things alone, it requires a higher level of accountability. A higher level of accountability. Look, that's why I don't believe in New Year resolution and all of that. If you start this in September, by the end of November, you're a brand new person, right? When you have support, you get through it faster. And I am doing this for myself. Like, I'm literally writing and doing this, putting my reflections as well. I'm doing it with you. All right. So what you have to say about this, doctor?
Yes. So
you read it. Well, you actually read. You did everything basically.
Yes, I've been transformed just through the editing of the work. I'm not even going to call it a book. I'm going to call it a body of work, and it is so powerful. The truths that you're going to see in there, and the way it's presented is not critical of you. It's loving. It's guiding, and it's to help you to become your best self and to help you to be able to support yourself through your healing journey. And you heard her say that in 90 days, you are going to be a different person. That sounds like a bold promise by someone who understands what it takes to heal. And I want to say to you, I believe it, because just from editing the book, I have gotten transformation. I do believe that because I went through some of those exercises as I'm editing it, I was able this week, as I went through my most recent challenge, because we're going to always have challenges that we go through, but I was able to ask myself the right questions. What's going on here? Now, it didn't happen immediately. For the first 36 hours, I was undone. But then I began to pick myself up off the floor. I began to ask what's going on, even as I continued to struggle. And then for me, the final step for me in this week was spiritual, going into the church with the believers in the presence of God, and allowing Him to be the final stage of my progression. I wouldn't have been able to walk through that without some of the illumination shared in there. I was able to say, I understand this feeling, and I know what comes next. So the win is that I cut off what comes next. Tomorrow, I won't be starting a new business, Dr. Phillip. I won't be writing a new book tomorrow to overcome what happened last week. Tomorrow, I'm going to be the person who I'm supposed to be tomorrow, doing what I'm supposed to do. No new stuff as a result of something that happened last week that I'm trying to validate, overcome, or save myself from. So that's my fine. You need to go ahead. She put the link right here, the QR code. I think she's going to drop the link in the comments. Yeah. So you want to go ahead and take a part of it. And I want to recommend that you join the community as well, because what you're going to get from her education joined in with her experiences is compassion transformation. You're going to get someone who is going to see you, love you, and help you to grow. And it's a community that you need to be in. And think about being in a community with other people who are endeavoring to reach the same level of healing that you are, who are willing to, because they're learning, you can have a whole different level of intimacy and growth and vulnerability, and really connect in that moment and be able to do great things together. So that's all I have, Dr. Phillip. You have anything else you want to share with?
Thank you so much. Yes, and you always make me cry. No, like while you were talking, because this, I mean, I wrote the first book I wrote was my autobiography, and it's entitled "The Interrupted Journey." But this book is special. Like I could cry and get so emotional because it's like the things that I have been through and how God has helped me. You know, growing up in the church, going to Bible school, all of those things, great. But one of the things I was missing, you know, is like the spirit man was being renewed with being in the church and all of that. I was working out, which is the physical part, but the soul, right? The scripture says, beloved, I wished above all that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul, your will, your mind, your emotions, your intellect, right? That's your soul. And that's where the enemy enters through trauma. He affects your soul. Trauma distorts your thinking. Literally. When I was studying in school, I did it when I studied trauma, but I also studied neuroscience. Trauma affects your hippocampus, which is your memory, your ability to learn and take in new information. It shrinks literally the functioning of your hippocampus. It affects your amygdala. It makes it overfunction. So that's where your heightened senses, your reactivity, all of these things. And then your prefrontal cortex gets it lowers the functioning of your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logical thinking, rational thinking. So you find someone who is in survival, it's hard for them to think clearly and rationally in the moment because they're sensing threat. Your amygdala is sending out these threat responses, so they react. And for me, this has become my baby. I don't want to say baby, but you know what I mean, right? Nurture. It becomes part of me, like me, this version of myself. When I wrote my first book, I was a different version. But writing this book, because it's like while I was even writing it, it brought so much more healing all over again. Like all over again. Right? Like the healing layers. Yeah, this brought so much healing all over again. And like I said, I'm going to do it with you all in the community, right? Every day, I'm going to be holding you accountable because we got to get to a point where it's not just another book, another course, another YouTube thing we listen to. Like, you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired of not living our authentic life, not living the abundant life that Jesus said, I came that you may have life and life more abundant. That means not just finances, peace, abundance of joy, abundance of happiness, of love, abundance in every area of your life. And how could we live an abundant life if we are hurting, if we are operating in survival? How can we live an abundant life if we are broken inside? We can't. We can't just keep going through life with our we are so alert at everything. We can't be ourselves. It's exhausted. It's so exhausted. It's like just, and that's why some of you feel That way, you've been resting, or I should say, you've been sleeping but not resting, because you're in survival. When you're in survival, you know what that means? Cortisol is constantly being released. You know what cortisol is? Cortisol is a stress hormone. And you only get cortisol when it is that, let's say, you're ready to fight or flee. Your liver releases adrenaline. So your body's preparing, right? When there's a sense threat, your body's preparing for you to fight or run away. Think about that. Think about your body in that state every single day, and you don't even realize it. Because when you're in survival, that's what happens. Your body is in a state of fight or flight, constantly releasing cortisol in your system, right? So you don't want to be in that state. You want to have peace in your life, and it starts with you. It starts with you, not with your boyfriend, your husband, your children. None of that. Peace starts within. And in order for me to have peace, an abundance of peace and joy, I have to heal my soul. That's where your emotions lie. Beloved, I wish above all that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers, even as your emotions prosper. Healing is children's bread. Eat it, a lot of it. Nothing is wrong with healing. When we hear the word healing, it's like a taboo. No, it's not. That's it's like, what's the scripture called? Well, there's another word called, it's your birthright. It's your birthright. So that's what I have to say on that. So if anybody have any questions, let me know. But reparenting yourself is your responsibility. Listen, that's your responsibility. Trauma was not your fault, but healing through reparenting yourself, as Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror. That's our responsibility. And listen, the more I heal, the more peace I get, because my standards go up. The things I used to tolerate, I tolerate them no more, because my standards went up. I don't need validation from people. If I get it, I thank them, but I don't need it. I don't search for it like I used to. I don't need acceptance or to be accepted from people. I'm not afraid of rejection. And I had a rejection issues. I had abandonment wounds. I'm not afraid of that, because I am confident in who I am and whose I am. People's opinions of me don't bother me anymore. It used to. And I'm no longer tired like I used to be, because I no longer associate myself as the strong, hyper independent woman. I am learning to flow from, like, I think it was a couple years ago, I said, for the first time, I actually understand what it means to live from a place of like your feminine energy. To be like, it was weird. You understand? Weird. It's like feminine. You can't sit back and relax. Because I still feel when the man is doing something, you always want to do. You want to lead and you want to control, because you don't trust anybody to do it for you. So reparent yourself. What your parents didn't do for you or couldn't do for you, you have the ability now as an adult to do it for yourself. I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's so much worth it. It transformed my life. It transformed the life of my children and my grandson. Because I believe that God has given me another chance with him. I really believe that. Because when my son was his age, I was 14 years old. What could a 14-year-old give a child? So I just transform, like I just transfer pain and trauma to my son. And I was living in that guilt for years. Because it's like he did not deserve that. But then I had to heal my soul and accept that's what it is, but do better. Do better and pass on love and kindness and be affectionate and be and not you don't have to repeat the same cycles of your parents. Like no, or of your past traumas or your experiences or whatever. You got to get sick and tired of the same thing happening over and over again. But in order to get sick and tired of that, you have to do something different. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. And you can't say, well, it's me and God alone. That's craziness. I'm just being honest. Because guess what? I was in the Bible school, I was in the church, I was in the choir, I was in ministry, I was doing all the things, and still it wasn't enough. And it's not that God wasn't enough. If you are obese, no amount of prayer can pray that away.
Mm-hmm.
You need God, Jesus, and therapy, counseling, healing. You need all. You need it all because we are triune beings. We are triune beings, right? We go to the gym when we need to take care of our physical body. When we need to go to the medical doctor to take care of our health. What about the emotional health? What about your emotional health? Who do you go to? To God? Yes, that's great. But God also anoints other people with the capacity to help you. And take your healing seriously. Take your healing seriously. So go get the book. Reparent yourself. Alrighty. So that's all I have to share with you all tonight. Who's that? I needed to hear this. Amen. Oh, yes, Charlene. I'm happy that you were able to hear that. I'm happy for that. We have a responsibility to heal and complete healing. So when you all get the book, you pre-order. What I'm gonna do is, like I said, you'll get updates as to when the book will be shipped, and once it's shipped out and you get it, but you also have opportunities to come in the community, and there is where we're going to really get into it, and you're going to be held accountable because every single day you have to do it every day. That's where neuroscience comes into, because you are actually creating a new brain. You're creating new neural pathways. And I will go deeper into what that is and how does that look like, or what does that look like to you. And that's why I said you're going to be a new person. You're going to be a new version of yourself, because if you stick to it for 90 days, we're going to start September 1st. So you should have your book and all of that. And when we start by the end of November, so you don't have to be caught up in the New Year resolution. You're going into the new year already a new person. You're just going to be continuing your journey, right? So new neural path every day for 90 days, every day, and you are going to be held accountable, because I'm going to ask you, what did you get from it? Because we tend to fall off. We start really hot, then we tend to fall along. That's why we need help. That's why we need support and guidance, right? So that, when we start to feel that way, we are accountable to a community of other women. And men can buy the book too. I actually had to buy it already. So, all right. All right, my friends. Thank you all so much for showing up for yourself, for being a part of this amazing segment. Do you all want another one? Let me know. But yeah, I should probably come on here and teach more things. But I will, in I will. But if you have any questions, drop them for me, or you can always DM me and let me know. Yes, Marvis. Yes, healing of the soul first, absolutely, because the spirit is fine. We need to heal the soul, right? Hi, Dr. Koshia. Oh my God. Kotisha, hi, how are you? Hope you are good. She's on YouTube. Yes, so any final words before we go? I talk a lot. That's enough for me. Dr. Michelle, any final comments or anything like that?
Just, I want to reiterate a few things that you said. And you said you have the ability as an adult to give yourself the things that you did not get as a child. And then you also said you have the responsibility to heal yourself as an adult. And then the third thing you said indirectly, and that is that you can be healed. And it's a progression and it's a process. And the sooner you start, the sooner you can see transformation. So we look forward to seeing you on September 1st as this 90-day journey of healing begins. And we'll see you in the group.
Heal through reparenting yourself. You see the little girl in the mirror? That's the little girl in you. And she's waiting for you. All righty. Well, have a good night. And I will see you when I see you.